Welcome to Pocket Watch Podcast. I'm Zach
Cruz.
This man Cruz is touching the board. He's looking for it.
Oh, we used to have crickets.
And apparently we have no guest.
Yeah. No guest, no Jacob. It's just solo dolo boys for you today. We got a good
sir.
episode, though. Thanks. Wherever you're tuning in, make sure you like, follow, comment, subscribe, share, all of those things.
Cruz's tongue is
You
still
know what?
messed up
Give
from the chip challenge.
Give us a dislike, too. I don't mind dislikes. Let us know. And put a comment why you dislike it.
The only way you can dislike us is if you put a comment. That's the only reason why.
Yeah, you got to follow up. You got to follow up with why you
If you don't like us, then just fucking say it with your fucking chest.
Yeah. Anyways. But yeah, another week. Got... Wow.
Turn the fan on, bro.
That got nasty.
Oh,
Yeah, you got to get your personal fan going. But yeah, another week. Just me and Zach. We actually are going to double up today. It's going to be a good day. It's a good day. Early on a Sunday after Thanksgiving, even though we're dropping this 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving, bro?
It was good, bro. Some fire food, man.
Where'd you eat?
My mom's.
Your mom's house?
Yeah.
Oh, they could cook too.
Yeah, man.
And your sister knows how to cook like Spanish food. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had a shit ton of food there, man. But it was fire, bro. It was good. I'm still full. I got that bloat right now. I got that after Thanksgiving bloat going on. But I got back into the gym. I'm starting to get back into the gym. I slacked once I came back from Vegas, bro. I did pretty decent. Then I got sick after Vegas, and since I got sick, I fucking just slacked with the gym and eating and shit like that. But I've gotten back into it, so.
Yeah, I did.
Gotta maintain it.
Sometimes, usually, like I'm good on my workouts, and then like I could plan out like a good feast on Thanksgiving Day. This year, I suck with my planouts. I suck with my workouts. I'm not doing good at all, and I was just like, oh, I'm just piling on today.
One thing I will say is, even though I took a little bit of time off, I didn't lose no strength this time, which I'm happy for. Because usually when I come back in, I'm like lost like 20% of my strength, but now I went in and like. I'm still lifting the same amount. I will say like my endurance kind of dropped a little bit. So instead of doing like 12, 10, 10, I'm doing like 11.
Are you
10,
still doing
10.
the testosterone?
Yeah,
like
bro.
The hormones and stuff?
Yep.
Dang, that's so crazy how that helps you so much. Like,
yeah, bro. Yeah,
headaches
I still do it.
And like deficits and all that shit. That's crazy.
Yeah, I still do my testosterone. I did miss like a week or so a couple weeks ago, and I started getting fucking just because like the imbalance. I fucking got like some crazy cystic acne from me missing like 2 weeks.
Yep.
But as soon as I got back on that shit, I'm good. But yeah, I'm still doing that shit.
Really?
It's
so
fine.
you had side effects from kind of like missing out a little bit?
Well, it's because like whenever you miss your doses, you're kind of like you have like an imbalance, and I don't know what was going on with my estrogen, because if I'm not taking my testosterone, I'm not taking my anastrozole, which is my estrogen blocker, and I don't know how that affects. So my estrogen could have shot up, my testosterone could have dropped or whatever, have an imbalance. So but I know I literally took it 1 week and then my shit back to normal. And like everything was perfect,
right where it needs to be.
Yeah, so it's all good. But yeah, I'm still on that stuff, man.
Well, today we're gonna kind of go over. I know a lot of you have seen like the big scandal with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried or whatever. We're gonna kind of generally go over it because we don't like we did our a little bit of research, but no matter what, we're not gonna be the best at like explaining crypto or none of that. But we'll kind of generally go over it, but there's a few things in this story that stuck out to us.
Yeah,
that
definitely
would
be a cool conversation. But we can start out with what you wanted to start out with.
Start it.
So we're gonna start it off for you guys.
This is Sam Bankman-Fried.
I think I give a shit about my legacy. That's not what matters. In the end, it's the mark that we actually leave on the world, not the mark we're perceived to leave on the world that matters.
So Cruz heard that. He liked that part of his little speech right there.
Yeah, Zach sent me a little link. He was like, watch this before we talk about it, this and that. And like literally the first couple of seconds, I was like, wow, that's a bar. And this whole documentary, I like that doc. Forbes put that out. It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's a documentary. It's really good. I mean, there's still a lot of things left to be figured out, but they did good because I think like they're not like hanging him, and a lot of interviews I've kind of seen wasn't completely hanging him. But anyways, what he said was a good statement. He said, I don't care about legacy. He's like, I don't care as much about the perceived impact on the world as much as like the actual impact that I have. Yeah. And that's an interesting train of thought. And I don't think I've ever really thought about it for myself. I know in general, I feel like we care about the legacy more than the actual impact. right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of my main motivations and stuff, and it's kind of like it just depends. Like after watching Game of Thrones and shit like that, right? It's real because those motherfuckers, they live their life for legacy. Like they're trying to get their family name to be the most triumphant, whatever the case is. And then you see these characters that are doing actual work but do not get recognized for it, you know. But they're the ones that actually made this new world and stuff possible. Yeah. And it's kind of an interesting way to think about everything. Just where it's like, where do you care about your legacy and what you're doing, or do you care about the actual impact? And a lot of the cases, the actual impact leads to the legacy. But it's interesting because what he's did, right? And like for instance, to have a good legacy in my job right now, right? My actual impact's going to be fucking great. Yeah. So exactly, like those things are intertwined right there, you know. But like, if you feel like, depending on what you care about, that topic becomes more tricky and nuanced. Yeah,
and I feel like the reason why he's saying that is because like he might have just the whole situation with the FTX going bankrupt and like that might have destroyed his legacy, but along his journey,
he did what he wanted to do.
He did what he wanted to do, and he left what he feels like is a actual real impact on the world,
which is interesting because it's like. And that's why I like that documentary, because yes, they're bringing out all the details and stuff, but at the same time, they give the clips of him and what he says. And from his perspective, I was telling Zach, I was like, it's weird because this guy's like low key a fucking hero. He's low key a Robin Hood. So like in general, so like, and still speaking to that same point of, do you care about your actual impact or your legacy, right? Where his main goal was like philanthropy and giving to the causes he cared about. Mm-hmm. He even said, he was like, I would much rather love to spend my time on actually focusing on what we'll do with the things that I care about. But right now, my role is supporting the people that are doing what I care about, right? Yeah. Like, is pretty much funding the people that are doing the things the causes that he cares about, right? Yeah. And it's so fucking smart and it's interesting in that perspective, because when you think of, I don't care about my legacy, I care about my actual impact. Or perceived impact, I care about actual impact on the world. And if his ultimate goal was to, was certain causes, and he took a step back and goes, I'm really good at this, trading, which by the way, he's so fucking good at. And we'll kind of talk
even with the shit that's going on right now with his company, like he's a mastermind behind crypto.
Yeah, like even people are like, and most of the biggest schemes in the world are because somebody was that much better than everybody else or whatever. But point still stands is like, he was like, I'm good at this. This is the best way I could make an actual impact on those things that I care about. Meaning, like, he was second biggest funder of the Democratic Party. He did big donation, and it's Democratic and Republican that he donated to, but he donated more to Democratic. But really, take another step back, he's just looking at causes, right? Mm-hmm. Probably, for all we know, he's looking at certain causes that he cares about, and he was throwing crazy bread into those causes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, shoot, if you think about it, man, second biggest donator of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's big money.
Exactly. That's big money.
And when you think about it, like, is he the most impactful person on some of those causes, right? Like, and that's what he's trying to say is like, I care about what I actually did, the actual impact I did for the causes that I actually care about and stuff. I could care less that people see me as this big fraud and the reason crypto market died, if it does, kind of thing. You know, like, he's like, you could think about me, you could see me as the devil for all I care, as long as I know I made a big impact on the things that I wanted to do. It's kind of valid, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then if you think about it, he's kind of like a Robin Hood. Now, he's totally fucked up. Right, and we're gonna get to that. Yeah, we're gonna get to all these points, but I feel like those points are pretty. I haven't heard a lot of those, you know, and I think it's very interesting because he's kind of like Robin Hood, where like, yes, he destroyed a big market. A lot of these other companies went out of business, and that's kind of like the secondary effect, right? Because he wasn't directly the reason that they went out of business, but he fucked the market up. That was subsequent effect of him fucking up the market. But all the main people that lost money are a bunch of rich people.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest of the biggest are definitely going to be the rich people. Like Kevin O'Leary said that he lost all the money that he invested into the company. He said all of his accounts were at zero. If you guys know, Tom Brady and his wife Giselle, his ex-wife, I guess now. His ex-wife Giselle, they invested their whole life savings, which was like $650 million into that. Last that I heard was like a week ago, they were down $200 million. But if the company's filed bankruptcy, I'm imagining that they're probably at zero, which is that's tough for Tom Brady, bro. This man lost his wife, his kids. This man just lost his life savings. Like, bro,
hundreds of millions.
Give that man a Super Bowl, please.
Yeah, he's going for it. He's motivated.
yeah. If that's not motivation, I don't know what the
just
fuck
close
is.
everything out. Say fuck this world.
But who else was invested? Tom Brady, Steph Curry was another big person behind it. There's a lot of big
endorsements and then also investing that they lost out on, right? But I will say, with all that said, I got to give it to him because he definitely lived by that statement where it's like that's his situation is the perfect example of that statement. A lot of us don't have the control or don't care about certain things that lends a legacy versus actual impact difference. You know, like most of it, like you want your legacy to be like, you know, big money and supporting your family and stuff. That kind of goes, your actual impact's got to be up there in order for that legacy to exist anyways, you know. But when you talk about like politicians and shit like that, now legacy and impact are two big different things in those worlds. You know what I mean? Or like community service, whatever the case is, there's different areas in life where that legacy and impact, there can be a lot of nuance there. Yeah, and definitely. He lived by it. He was like, look, I care about these things. I'm the biggest funder of these things, right? Like in the world. And it's because of all this side shit that I did, you know? Yeah. And it's interesting.
And for the people who don't know how like he even got started, he got started obviously in the crypto space, but he got started because he was able to find that crypto in certain countries were priced differently. So in the United States, like a majority of the time, United States is cheaper to buy crypto than it is in like, let's say, different parts of Asia. So what he was doing is he was buying crypto in the United States and going and selling it in different parts of the Asia and like in the Asian market, and that's where he's making his money. And that's where he started his company called Alameda Research, right? Mm-hmm. And
he was like exceptionally good at this too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
who was the guy who was the Shark Tank guy?
Kevin O'Leary,
right? Because he was interviewed about his experience with it, and he definitely pointed out all the reasons all the red flags, all this is very bad. But he definitely made his point where he's like, look, I'll say this though, that guy is fucking good. Like if I could hire him on my team and somebody was overseeing him, making sure there's no shady shit going on, I would do it in a heartbeat. And it's like, you know,
even after getting fucked all the millions and millions, I don't know how much Kevin O'Leary had in it. Cause I didn't specify whenever I seen it, but
he's essentially doing like, it's kind of like Forex for Bitcoin, right? Yeah. Like he was buying it here, selling it here, buying it here, selling it there.
It's basically like the foreign exchange market for Bitcoin, which is definitely an interesting thought process.
I'm not sure how that works. I'm not that.
Yeah. I don't know. I've seen it before because I've always wondered why. I've seen like when I'm looking at like different cryptos like that, I've always wondered why like the US dollars cryptos are so much different than other ones. And I've always wondered that why the difference was, but I didn't know you can actually go and exchange them like that. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah. But it's definitely genius to be able to take advantage of that. But he started a company called Alameda Research, which basically capitalized off of that platform of buying in different markets and selling in different markets, and
built a name up for himself.
And this is kind of like leading into like the whole controversy and shady stuff that's going on. But the old CEO of that company was his ex-girlfriend.
Right.
I forgot her name.
Now the sequence of events, I'm not sure, but he started FTX, which was so like Alameda is a trading service, maybe. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, it's like a trading platform, I'm pretty sure.
But it's a service.
It's like a quantum physics, something like that. Quantitative, some shit like that.
But then the exact word FTX was like the actual platform.
Yeah, FTX. So people could. FTX was a platform where they put their money in. I guess essentially FTX was backed by FTT, which was the token for them, right?
Yeah. So he got his name off the Alameda Research, which I feel like it was more of like a trading service or something like that, and then he started a platform off of it. I
can see what exactly it is. I'm sure if I Google Alameda Research. How
many Googles has that name gotten recently?
is a trading firm and major market maker. Major market maker.
So it's a trading firm, but it's not necessarily like a platform to. It's not like a Robinhood or a Fidelity.
No, yeah. So it's quantitative trading firm is what it's called. A quantitative trading firm.
Right. So then he created a platform so people could actually invest and stuff like that
and buy. So, and I'm pretty sure probably FTX probably utilized the information from Alameda to be able to do it. I think FTX was just him. Alameda Research was just his baby, which basically what he used to create information was like his software that created the information about trading, where to move the stuff at.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure FTX was a platform that he created to allow the people to use the information for their benefit.
So here's what I could do with what you're depositing, so that you can get it's safe. This is how it's safe, right? Yeah. And it's interesting too because so like he was really good. B, they said like a lot of the reason why that platform took off is because he did all the right things without showing the real things, right? So he gave you all this detail, all this information, like overload, right? And it's like the way they speak about it now, though, it's kind of like those were like it was kind of a deception. Yeah. It's like here I'm gonna overkill on the amount of information, and then you're not gonna. So it's going to be a lot harder for you to find what you're missing. Yeah. And
not just that, but I feel like if somebody is just, if you see somebody that's like that to you, like just being completely upfront and open to you, you're kind of more trusting. Yeah. And it's like, oh, he's telling us everything we need to know. And it's harder to question whenever you answer a lot of questions.
Yeah. I do that at work sometimes. Like if I feel unconfident about one piece of what I was supposed to provide, I'm going to go crazy on everything. Yeah. So then like it's harder for you to pick out. It's a tactic. It's a good tactic. It's interesting how that worked. This guy was a genius. Yeah. Not only that, so like he, from what I gathered from watching it, he definitely was a genius on the market side and all that, right? Alameda Research, and then when he comes, who else is better at knowing what to provide as extra information to kind of deceive you a little bit? Or to make the platform the best anyways, right? Like that's why people wanted to use it than him, right? But one thing, and the other thing is they mentioned that company, FTX, had no board of directors, so he was pretty much the sole commander.
Yeah, there was no board of directors, and basically they were saying that like everybody just kind of like pat each other on the back and said, good job.
Yeah. So but he had, the accountant he had, is my point I'm trying to make, is... Yeah. Was a badass, right? Yeah. So like one thing they talked about, which was very interesting, was, and I keep saying it was very interesting, but they talked about the current guy in charge of the SEC, right? I don't know how long he's been there, but I feel like it's been like at least a year or two, and since then he's been really hard on the crypto market, right?
Yeah.
Like and that's a lot of the reason why the market was already kind of dropping a little bit because of how he was perceived to put more restrictions and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's what he's been kind of showing with his actions. They talked about the charges he gave Kim Kardashian or whatever, like all these other things. But so what I think it was really interesting was SEC was trying, as far as what their current standards were before this, right? Because that's totally going to change moving forward after this FTX thing. But the SEC was regulating it, right? And then they talked about like that's why a lot of these platforms are not in the United States because there's just too much regulation will hurt the value of the trading, like crypto and stuff like that. But the accountant that he had was able, what he was doing from what I saw was like, right, like so people are depositing money, like investing in certain coins and stuff like that, right? And then he was taking those deposits and using it for other things, whether it's funding these foundations or dropping a bunch of money into the Alameda Research thing or whatever for whatever. And it was probably more risky than known, right? Mm-hmm. But in the time leading to what this bankruptcy is, that accountant was able to show like that we did have the funds to back our liabilities right now for a very long time. And that gets reviewed under SEC and all this shit or whatever. And that's pretty impressive.
So I think what happened was I think that they did actually have the funds initially. And I could be wrong, but maybe I misunderstood. I thought they did have the funds whenever they were kind of like whenever they were audited initially, and then I think what happened after that was like I forgot what the companies were that some crypto started crashing, which Alameda were tied into a lot, and then to keep Alameda from being bankrupt, FTX started dumping their consumers' money into Alameda to try to save it from bankruptcy.
Which is another thing, like separation of duties, right? Like not being at arm's length with certain companies, or else you have to report it that you are affiliated with that company. They were super sister brother companies.
They were in bed with each other, literally.
And they were not reporting as that.
No, yeah, exactly. So he was giving a bunch of money over to Alameda Research to try to save Alameda Research from coming bankrupt, and it wasn't even his money that he was giving. And then something came out. I forgot exactly what it was, but something came out. It was like an article about how like FTX probably they're not as promising with what was it that came out? I forgot. It was like something that came out that said that like they're not able to back up as much as they thought they were going to be able to back up, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then whenever that happened, a lot of the
belief dropped.
Yeah, the belief in FTX started dropping. So everybody started to try to withdraw, and that created like a mass frenzy. And that's what really started the tumble of everything for FTX, because when everybody tried to start withdrawing, they didn't have the funds to withdraw to be able to balance those withdrawals. So basically, they had to stop withdrawals from the company. It basically said they actually had a thing on FTX that was saying like you're not able to withdraw. And then also they were saying don't make any deposits either from that, because then that's what started the downfall of FTX to go into bankruptcy. I think they filed. I think it was Chapter 11, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Chapter 11, which is the bad bankruptcy.
Yeah,
that's not the consolidate debt bankruptcy. That's
really
where we're dissolving bankruptcy.
Yeah, no, because it's fucked. It was bad. like, and that's part of the reason why they make you report. Like, if you guys are affiliated, you have to report that way, or else it's easier to make sly shit happen, because now you just have community or donations or something, and then from Almeida's perspective, you just have donations and funding and stuff like that, right? Like, it doesn't show where it's coming from or the ties or nothing like that. Versus if they were reported together, you would have seen very clearly that one company is going under and the other company is just supporting it with funds that they shouldn't be supporting it with. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And then the another company that he was kind of really close in ties with was Mind the Gap. Which Mind the Gap was his mother was I can tell you exactly what she was, a chairperson, but I forgot exactly. So she was.
This is the foundation that he donates to mainly, right?
Yeah. So his mom's name is Barbara Fried, and she just resigned from the Democratic super PAC called Mind the Gap, and she was the board of director chairperson. And basically, he had that's where they were. That's where he was able to do a lot of his philanthropy work, was through the Mind the Gap. Because what he was doing is he was also taking the consumer's money and was giving it to Mind the Gap, which is what the Democratic super PAC that his mom was the chairperson of. And then that Mind the Gap itself was the second biggest Democratic donator. So essentially, it wasn't Sam Bankman-Fried as a person,
right? He doesn't care about his legacy.
No, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't him as a person. It was the company that he was making these contributions to, called Mind the Gap. And I forgot what the exact percentage was, but I saw something where they said like the percentage of like what for the Mind the Gap, the percentage of funds where it came from, and he was like a high majority. I think it was like 60% or something like that.
I think too. And because the lady in the documentary, she probably works with Forbes or something in the crypto market or something like that. I'm not sure, but she said, and it's going to be interesting to see, but how she said she doesn't want the SEC to learn the wrong lessons from this, right?
Yeah.
Like do something that will actually kill the market or something like that, things like that.
Yeah, she was saying that if they start doing like that, then it might push it overseas more. Mm-hmm. That's what she was saying, yeah.
Now, What's kind of interesting, they had some clear red flags that I feel like should be easily implemented. Kind of like whenever you do a withdrawal, there has to be a proof of funds or something like that, like some type of thing at each transaction, which is all good ideas, period, just to keep you safe, especially in the crypto market, right? Like doing trades, period. That's why there's financial advisors and actual people dedicated to this. It's already kind of complicated and not necessarily, there's so much risk involved that you should have a professional be able to do that for you. But then in the crypto market, it's even more black, it's even more gray. It's like not that straightforward and stuff. So that's a good thing to implement to protect. But I think a good idea is, because just sorry to cut you off,
no,
but
you're fine.
From the accounting perspective, from the SEC perspective, you could still let those companies do what they were doing, right? But how about if you want to trade in the United States, there has to be proof of fund, all those little simple things. But as far as regulating, it'd be good to know, like, for all these platforms, to just regulate their spending and stuff like that, right? Like, to regulate that piece, because if that had more of an emphasis on it, you could have pointed out or seen more easily that they were the reason why he has these other companies doing these things is so his name's not involved, and it doesn't throw up any red flags when things are happening. It's like, because if everybody's like, this guy is the second biggest donator to the Democratic Party, that looks weird when you think about his main source of income is my income. You know what I mean? Exactly. So it's like, but when you separate it all out, it's kind of like a drug dealer with shell companies and shit, right? Yeah, like the more webs you create, the harder it is to see who's behind the scenes doing stuff.
And the crazy part is that for him, each major company he had his money tied into, he had not just like financial interest in, but he had like personal interest, like
his mom, his girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like, it's just interesting in that aspect.
It was it was like so obvious, but it's like, I don't know if that's gonna happen regardless. But right.
And another thing is though, like, I think that where he really messed up too, and I think this is where like crypto spaces really need to get into, is it's okay to have platforms like that, but like you need to make sure that you actually own the coins.
Yeah.
Own the tokens, actually own the crypto. Like, you need to have the codes for those cryptos, whatever you want to call the technical term for it is. But you need to make sure you actually own those, because when a lot of these companies you put money into, you don't physically actually own the tokens. You don't own the coins. You don't own them.
You're buying the stock.
Yeah, you're basically buying a stock of a company that owns them. And the problem is that that's where they're really going, is like, this whole thing is showing people that they need to securely purchase these coins and tokens if you're going to invest into this. And I still think that crypto can be a great investment if you have the knowledge of it and you do correctly, but you need to make sure that you actually have physical ownership of these. You store them in a proper wallet, versus basically you're just buying a stock into a company that says that they know what they're doing.
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see how the market reacts with all obviously the market's crashed because of that, right? Obviously a bunch of companies went out of business because of it, whatever. But like, a lot of people are saying it's the death of crypto because what happened. So. I don't think so either. And the second wave of impact is the regulations to be put, which will further clarify whether it's the death of crypto or not. But what I think it's going to do, and I hope it's going to do, is put some pressure on those that are really trying to push crypto, right? Like the developers, the big minds and stuff that are really trying to make this the next currency. Whichever crypto wins, you know what I mean? I like to put pressure on it, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of the currency at the end of the day is belief and utility. It's those two things right there, right? Like the dollar has climbed or whatever, and the only currencies that are at the top is because they're believed in the most and they're the most utilized.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why whenever somebody tries to drop the US dollar, crazy shit happens, without going into conspiracies.
Right. Like,
and any country that's tried to drop the US dollar has been raided and taken over.
Because you're fucking with, like, there's a lot tied into the dollar. Yeah.
It really goes hand in hand. And I'm not
but my point is currency period is utility and belief.
No, 1,000%.
Right?
Yep.
And that's what crypto, the crypto, the spikes we've seen is a lot of it is because of the belief.
Yeah.
Right? But the hard part about it, and part of the reason why, like, even that lady explained, like, she hopes there doesn't become a lot of regulation because it's not as black and white. There's a lot more nuance, but that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, and I think there's enough people in the world, you know what I mean? Like, there's Forex trade, like, there's all kinds of, come on, it's not that complicated. And there are people that figured it out, right? And they try to explain it. And for the most part, we kind of get it. The part that's not as obvious to me, and I think this is where they need to get some work done, right? Like, maybe this big crash makes it, it's this or nothing. We have to try this next step, is the utility part of it. You know what I mean? And I know there's a lot of different ways, and they made some strides in it as far as the utility of it, but that's what's gonna, like, the belief is gone. You can't work. Not belief is gone, but the power of belief
is low.
Is not where it was.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of raise that utility some way, somehow, and that's where you get that belief back up. You know what I mean? And I hope that's what we kind of see from this. You know, like a little more of a simplified version. Because I hope the complicated part of it is, well, like, because the complicated part of it is where you lose belief in utility. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, we only make so much of these and this. Like, if it's not clear how that happens, like the inventory of the coin and so you can see how the value changes, then it's going to be, at this point moving forward, a lot harder to get people to buy in and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because the belief that you had is way gone, where the utility might have never been there anyways, which is why, you know what I mean? Like, Bitcoin is one, and it's very finite and stuff like that.
But Bitcoin's utility is what exactly?
Exactly. Like, Ethereum to me had the highest utility.
Yeah.
Because that was something you needed to use on all these platforms to exchange shit.
Which isn't the case anymore. There's a lot of coins that you can use now instead of Ethereum.
Right. And, like, they saw how Ethereum blew up because of that utility factor. Yeah. You know what I mean? But Bitcoin ultimately had all the belief, you know. Yeah. But the utility part is what kills it. You know what I mean? Like, right now, it's all an investment based off belief. And they haven't had to show much utility in it. If you ask me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's more utility than we can talk about right now.
There was a utility for FTT. I forgot what it was, though. I think, like, they even had, like, they said it was almost like a rewards program. Yeah. For FTT. That was like the, let me see, though. Utility. Give me a second. I'll find out right now.
Where if you have a certain amount, you get certain things and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, so I forgot. I don't know the exact details of it. So FTT uses cases. The FTT token was designed with a mechanism that aims to improve the utility of the FTX exchange. What this means is that through using the tokens, user can earn free rebates, get discounts on their trading fees, and are able to stake FTT tokens to receive high referral bonuses through the FTX platform.
But it's like trading. It's like a trading perk.
Yeah. So like their token was to back their FTX.
Right.
And it was supposed to give you like discounts, referrals, fees.
Right.
It's like, it was kind of like a token that had utility, but it had utility in it.
But it doesn't buy you a sandwich. I think that's the utility I'm talking about.
Yeah. I get
you know what I mean?
No,
like, and I think that's what I think. There's a lot of utility within the exchange.
Well, I mean, if you want to back that, then you can say that Bitcoin does have utility. Because there's stores that accept Bitcoin purchases.
Yeah.
And then, you know.
So that's what I'm talking about, though.
So Bitcoin then does have.
But the more, that's going to happen less now. Because the more you push back on regulation, that's where it's like, it's a weird little line to draw here, right? Because a lot of people are investing in it because of regulation, but because they don't want the regulation, right?
I think the biggest thing it's going to kill, because I know there's a lot of, I don't know if you know, but a lot of, like, the scams that exist, like I don't know if you know, I watch a couple people on YouTube that are hackers that hack like the scammers that call you, so that mainly based out of like India, so like that, like the ones that call you and say, oh, this is Amazon support services or whatever, and they end up stealing tens of thousands of dollars from an elderly lady or whatever. But a lot of them use and transfer funds through the crypto market. Crypto is used a lot in the black market.
Yep.
Crypto's used a lot in the drug industry.
Yep.
Crypto has a lot of utilization in illegal activities, essentially. And if they start regulating that and they start creating,
it's going to lose all types of value.
Exactly, because I don't want to say that's the biggest value of it, but it's definitely,
it could be half.
It could be a chunk. I don't know the percentage, but it could be definitely it's definitely a decent chunk.
Because you can move money around without anybody seeing, and then you at the end of the day you just see a in and then some type of out that you gotta decipher all that extra shit that happened in the middle. I agree.
Exactly.
Now, I might be ignorant in saying this, but I also think that's the ceiling for crypto, right?
Yeah.
Is an investment purpose, not a currency. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you're investing in a currency type, right? Like a cryptocurrency. But it's like
hand in hand.
It's kind of like if you weren't doing anything illegal, you buy a house and then you sell a house for more money.
I was gonna say, even,
you know, like,
I was gonna say to even kind of back that, it's kind of like gold,
right?
Instead of currency, you can say it's kind of like gold, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
To be treated as gold, even though technically our U.S. dollar is backed by gold, quote unquote.
Not anymore. Not since something.
Exactly.
Not anymore. Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
It was. That was the golden rule, and then that changed like 19 or something. That 18 something it changed.
But like you can treat cryptos like as if they are gold.
But like an asset.
Yeah, an asset. Yeah.
So and as long as it's that, I think it's got a ceiling, and it will never compare to the dollar. And
I feel like the thing is if you treat crypto like a currency, isn't there certain regulations versus an asset?
Well, from where I'm trying to come from, the max utility it has right now is just that.
Yeah.
You buy an asset, you sell an asset. Like whether you're doing it for laundering purposes, drug dealing, or you're just like, I have some belief in this, I'm gonna put some cash in there now, I might take it out later as an asset or whatever. And that's its ceiling right now as far as utility. Until they can find a way, right, where the dollar, and it's kind of like some metaverse shit, is the only way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But until they can either find a way via metaverse where it's the most easily to use because it's a digital type currency or whatever, or they got to go max regulations so a lot of stores can accept Bitcoin or whatever, or banks or XYZ can accept that currency more often, and it gets more pushed. Now it's got some utility. Now you're kind of like, it's kind of like when you're in Colombia and you got US dollar and you got the currency there, and you're kind of like, I don't know, let's see which one I want to how I want to play this. Bitcoin is far from that in my mind right now.
No, absolutely.
You know, or any of the cryptos.
I think it would be crazy. I don't know if it's even legal, but I've always thought it would be crazy if like a bank backs crypto and like introduces it into the platform. For example, if you could use your crypto as like a MasterCard,
right,
or a Visa,
right,
and if it's backed by like MasterCard or Visa, and that's why I've always
that
wondered.
Will never happen as long as they don't want to be regulated.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's the battle. Like it's got some utility in what we talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the ceiling until you commit to being regulated. And then the risk of that is all these drug dealers or whatever, the black market money that's on there, it's probably gonna fuck up the value. Like
yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like one of those catch-22s where it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing.
How many people don't want to do it when it's regulated XYZ, but like it's also like that's the only way. You know what I mean? Like for the United States to use it is the best way, right? I mean, just like the dollar or whatever.
You know what though? There are a lot of companies that are investing shit tons of money into it too.
Yeah.
You know, there's also
a bunch of other companies buy in that way. The only hard part is they got to deal with us a lot.
Yeah.
Like and I'm not even going to say like we make shit go around, but we do in a way of consumer. We are the consumer for all of these companies. And that's where it gets tricky. You know what I mean? So like if a lot of different countries do buy in and go like really hard on crypto and stuff, and this is our utility currency, but they got to do it with their currency anyways. You know what I mean? So maybe that isn't that big of a difference, you know? So they are fine. Enough countries just got to do that. And that's the alternative, I feel like. But we are the main consumer right now. Like,
oh yeah, I agree.
China is the powerhouse, but we're the reason we're the main consumer that they're buying. You know what I mean? It's like if you got a successful business, but you got 2 clients that are the reason, you better treat those clients well. You know, otherwise you don't have a business. You know what I mean? Those clients leave, your business is down. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like our relationship with them and then everybody else, we consumer market big high percentages. You know what I mean, for what they produce and stuff like that. Their main money. So they could be, you know, our government could easily say could easily never let that happen. Mm-hmm. Other countries buying in a certain way because it's like, hey, we have power in that way. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I need you to not do that, you know, because that's probably the bigger threat to our structure, you know, like our financial system and stuff like that. So please don't do that, or else you lose 80% of your business.
No, I agree. That's true.
You know, and it's that's a battle. So it's almost like you got to make friends with the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You almost got to like bite the bullet and get as regulated, like, fight as hard as you can. You know what I mean? Like, let's see where we end up at the end of it.
So you think it's better for them to not be regulated then? Or you think it would be
to be regulated?
You think it would be better for them to be regulated?
I think there's pros and cons on both sides, but I think longevity overall, like, what are we here for, kind of thing. And honestly, it's like when your business is bombing out, like if you're one of the main people in the crypto world, it's kind of like it's now or never kind of thing. Like, we can't sit around and wait for metaverse. So, you know, like.
So if they were to be regulated, what would happen? Would it have to be like a grandfather system or something then?
I'm trying to see, like, they would lose. I'm sure they would lose all types of pros why people invest in the crypto market in the first place. Like, black market money.
Personally, for me, I mean, crypto is going to have some type of regulations, period. But I don't think we're ever going to see it mass regulated like we see normal banks and normal society. I don't think we're going to see that for a minimum of 10 years.
The only way it will happen is if they go super regulated. Not the only way.
And the reason why I don't think it's going to happen is simply because there's a lot of elites that are doing illegal activities
with it.
Yep. The same people that are the ones that would have to regulate it are the same people that are utilizing it for the black market and for the exact reasons why people are using it for the like the illegal aspect of it. And
the same people that don't want it to become something is because they're doing not illegal shit, but let's just say super smart shit as far as loans, investing, taking off a loan, you know, shit like that, where if the value of the dollar goes down, I don't have this scheme anymore. Mm-hmm, like, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
If you introduce this crypto and the value of the dollar starts going down, this whole interest scheme that I kind of have going on, where I don't have to really take out any actual collateral, shit like that. Like, Warren Buffett or somebody, I forgot who it was, but like, he's a millionaire whenever he wants to be, and he doesn't have to take out any money. Billionaire. Yeah. Like, he could take out liquid as much as he wants without it's all leveraged, right? Yeah. Whatever. That doesn't work for him if the value drops like crazy.
No, yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like there is people on both sides fighting.
I think Warren Buffett said that. Oh man, I don't want to say if it's not true, but I'm pretty sure it's Warren Buffett that said that he'll never invest into crypto.
See,
but the thing with Warren Buffett though is that
he's not incentivized to either, right? Like,
exactly. For one, and then for two, he's like the stock market guru. He's the U.S. dollar guru. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for him to go ahead and back that, it would kind of pull from the market. But I'm pretty sure I saw that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was Warren Buffett. Like, I'm 90% sure.
Well, think about it. Even he's the stock market guru, right? All his assets and the benefits he's pulling from them is based off the measuring unit of a dollar. And when you screw up my measuring unit, you know what I mean? Like, it hurts, especially when those companies themselves are all backed by. That's their currency, right? Like, it sounds weird saying backed by a dollar, but like, that's their main currency. So now my stocks start to look like shit when that looks like shit, like long term. I just want to say one thing, because it does look super bleak. It looks super bleak for the crypto as far as the market now, as far as how we were talking about the big higher up people, both sides, you could see where they don't want it to be a thing.
Yeah.
Those that are benefiting from the value of the dollar and those that are benefiting from the black market transaction type things, neither of those people want it to be a regulated currency.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Regulate the crypto market. U.S. comes out with their own cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only way.
One thing I will say is through this, though, it kind of has shown some promise in the aspect that there are people in the industry that are trying to do good, essentially, right? And the reason why is, like, for example, like when FTX first, literally as soon as all the scrutiny started, CZ from Binance was trying to buy them out.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like once all that stuff started going down, CZ was kind of like, nope. And I think this kind of solidifies that, at least for now. It seems like Binance seems to be a pretty solid platform to be on, because they're the ones that were not like, and they were the ones that were openly out speaking and kind of like, I don't want to say trashing FTX, but they were the ones that were saying like, because CZ was saying from the beginning that FTX is kind of like, be careful, careful. And that's what they were saying, especially in the video. They were saying that like he was seeing flaws and he wanted to like speak out about it, but he didn't want to be that guy creating like drama
around the market.
Around the market, yeah. So
because it hurts his market.
Yeah, it does. And so he was saying that he might have to start being more opening to say things because of it, because he sees things going on and he knows that this is kind of weird.
That is the good response to the situation, I will say.
So I think it kind of will show you, like going through this will kind of show you the players that is good to kind of put your money into, but nonetheless, and hold your shit in a wallet. Make sure you actually own the fucking crypto, because that's the biggest thing. We've seen it time and time again with people trying to pull shorts, just like that, pulling the rugs on shit like that. You really got to own the fucking crypto, because whenever these shorts happening and all these different things, they block it. And if you own the fucking crypto, they can't block you if you actually own it. You know what I mean? And that's definitely huge. Make sure that you actually own it to yourself and everything.
And like in general, I think this was a good thing, because as a consumer moving forward, we will be more protected. Whatever happens, we will be more protected. Just like 9/11 was terrible, but like moving forward, security was a different thing. Yeah. Like it's gonna be the stock market. This happened in shit like this happened in the stock market before, right?
Yeah, it has,
right? And because of that,
literally this exact same thing that's happening with SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, happened with another individual at the stock market. But he did, what was it, $65 billion or something like that, and he fucked over like all the elites, and he basically like took billions of dollars, which he got. What was it, 150 years in prison?
Yeah, he died in prison.
Yeah, he got 150 years in prison for it, which now kind of brings up the question: is FBS gonna be getting
now
jail sentence?
It's gonna be interesting, because I'm not sure what regulations were there when that guy did all that fuck shit.
Yeah, like, well, I'm sure there was some regulations that were put in place because of it. And that happened too. So like, to my point, where as a consumer we're going to be more protected. Just after that scandal happened back in the day, stock trading was more safer moving forward, because they had things in place to protect against that. Oh, yeah, of course.
But also, he might have gotten a heavier sentence, because maybe there was already certain regulations in place that he's literally breaking them. Yeah. Versus this guy might be a little more. There might be a little more not so clear sentencing, because there isn't that much regulations in what he can do with that.
Well, and I think because this wasn't even on the Forbes video, but I'm pretty sure that when I was like looking through, because I watched a bunch of videos on this, I'm pretty sure I saw a thing that was saying what he did was technically illegal, but he says that he had no knowledge of the funds being moved around like that. So the problem would be to prove that he had the knowledge of funds being moved like that. And on the contrary, the same people prosecuting him would be the same people he invested into.
Right.
So,
right.
Where does that go?
Right.
And that also kind of goes into like a lot of the Democratic parties that he voted in, that he donated to, and the Republican parties that received funds. He didn't actually. Whenever we watched the Forbes video, it wasn't even him that donated much to the, because a lot of his funds that like he had a part of went into the Mind the Gap, and I think that they had, what was it, 42?
It went into a foundation.
42 million
pushed the fund.
I think it was like 42 million or something like that went into Democratic, and like 233 went into a Republican on the Mind the Gap. But they said that one of the people that was like one of his employees donated like almost 24 million into the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. One of his employees. It wasn't even him. Mm-hmm. So then it kind of also makes you wonder if they're in bed with both sides.
Yeah, and how many people agreed with what he was doing, and you know what I mean? Like how many people probably resonated with his purpose and impact versus legacy type of thing, but wasn't the brains behind it?
Yeah.
but definitely could move funds around and contribute. You know what I mean?
And they're saying, to add to this conversation, another thing is that, because, he's going through the company FTX, I shouldn't say he is, the company FTX is going through bankruptcy. And part of the bankruptcy court is deciding whether or not those political parties that receive those funds are going to have to back pay. Or repay, I should say. Repay those contributions, which can be hefty, man. If you receive millions of dollars that you use for a campaign and you blow it, and then now they're saying, hey, you got to pay that back, buddy.
It's interesting because
scary.
Where you could prosecute him for actually having sister companies or subsidiaries that he was funding to fund those things, right? But from their standpoint, those weren't connected entities, right? Like we had no idea or no way of like validating.
But there is something called piercing the corporate veil. Have you ever heard that term before?
How is that?
So piercing the corporate veil is basically a terminology. Basically, the idea behind piercing the corporate veil is, so when you have a corporation, it separates personal assets, personal liability from your corporate assets, corporate liability. And part of that system is properly running and functioning your business adequately and properly. And I feel like being in bed with those sister companies could be a way for them to kind of go around piercing it.
But no, for sure. But like, it's like you could prosecute him for actually having sister companies but not reporting it that way. But I don't know if you could prosecute me for not finding out what you didn't find out. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Oh, okay. I get
kind of like something was wrong here, but it's like it's not. It would be different if FTX was directly funding them.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I think it would be different if they were the ones that were their actual second biggest funder, because it's coming directly from. You know what FTX, I mean?
Yeah.
But when it's a sister company that wasn't, it's not a reported sister company, right? Like it's not like you could say Gap subsidiary of FTX or anything like that. Like that wasn't a thing. That was part of the legal shit they were doing.
Yeah.
That makes it kind of tricky on them having to cough it up.
So one of the things with that is that because there was multiple companies that they had similar dealings with, many. I think they said that there was dozens. But the reason why Mind the Gap and Alameda are being so spoken of is because of the fact that Mind the Gap's board of directors chairperson was his mother.
Right.
And for Alameda, the CEO of Alameda was his ex-girlfriend.
Right.
So I think that right there is where you kind of draw the line of negligence.
Yeah.
Of like, what's it called? Not negligence, but of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like you kind of draw the air of,
you had red flags.
What's the fucking word I'm talking about? Not negligence. It's, basically just being like having no knowledge of. You know what I mean? That's where you kind of draw the line of like having no knowledge of. Like, those are personal connections of your life.
But it's definitely just an argument to be made, and it's not a clear thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. But the thing is, though, it can be tied together through emails, messages, conversations.
They're going to have to investigate, though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's going to lead to that. But what I'm saying is that it's not going to be like, hey, Mom, I'm just going to throw fucking this much money at your company. No. Come on.
No.
There's conversations.
But the other side,
to be proved, you know,
the other side of it is their experts and stuff say that there is a situation where those parties, you know, whoever did get donated to would have to cough it back up. But there's also something too, that expert is probably an expert on like trading platforms and the policies and all that stuff. But was FTX strictly crypto?
I'm pretty sure that they were strictly crypto, but they might have. Let me see,
because there might be something about. Like, if you're hurting our economy, like if you're a trading platform that's taking people's money, that is trying to invest in companies in the NASDAQ and shit like that, and then you're taking that and falsely.
So it says right here, the cryptocurrency exchange would now allow all users to trade hundreds of stocks and exchange traded funds either online or through ftx.us pro mobile.
So maybe they had a mix. Yeah, so, it's interesting because I could also see that some of those laws.
So it says for experienced traders, FTX supports the trading of future stocks and leveraged tokens. So it sounds like they did deal in the dwellings of stock market.
So maybe they get tied up that way because I could see if it's all crypto, it's only hurting our crypto market. It's not hurting the economy.
And the worst part is that May 19th, 2022, CNBC post that crypto exchange FTX US is moving into stock trading. So they just recently got into stocks.
So maybe it was, I don't know. There's something to that though, right? You know what I'm saying? Like if the money you were investing, that false, like the collateral, that the money you were just throwing away in the back end, if that hurts our stock market, you're fucking our economy up. So now the repercussions of that might be different. Not just penalties, but like as far as everybody got cut all that shit up because we need to put this back into the market. That should have not have happened. But maybe it's different when you're just talking about the crypto market. Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things with that is that when you're a political entity, like a political person, I should say, being tied into that situation with the market is definitely something that you don't want that on your record.
No,
you don't want, you know what I mean? Like even if the court rules in favor of them not having to pay back, it's just like, damn, you still have that on your shoulder. And for political, for political, like persons, that's a tough thing to have.
The only thing is yes, but I also think you're naive if you think 90% of the donations are ill intent and dirty money. Right?
Actually, I agree. And
big pharma for Republicans.
I actually have I as a person, I don't know if I've ever expressed this on the podcast, but I'm actually against. I'm 1,000% against nonprofit corporations and then regular corporations donating to political parties.
Lobbyists.
I'm 1,000% against that. I think if political parties or people running to be candidates, if they want to receive funds, I think that it should be 1,000% from the people. And if you cannot gain enough funds from the people to do your basically like your campaigning, you should not be there. And like the problem with that, I know it's kind of a little bit off talking, but the reason why I feel like this is because a lot of times, a lot of political regulations, rules, laws are passed simply because
money behind it.
The people that invested into your campaigning says, "Hey, I gave you this, but because I gave you this, I need you to go ahead and slip this." And if you're naive to think that doesn't happen, then go ahead and do what you want to do. But personally, for me, I feel like we need to cut off corporation and political stuff through like personal. And then, people are going to say, oh, well, this is going to be the same thing because what's just going to happen is that the actual people are going to start donating instead of having their companies donate. Yeah. I understand that, but I feel like it's a little bit
We'll
different.
see what the problem, all right. There's pros and cons to both sides, right? Mm-hmm. There's pros and cons to everything.
Well, what's the pro to corporations donating to campaigns?
So the pro that I see in that is big corporations that are facilitating our economy, right? Mm-hmm. I do see a logic in them having impact on the vote, like a bigger impact than me and Zach, right? Yeah. Like I think Pepsi or whatever should have some avenue to maybe make a bigger impact on policies than Cruz and Zach, right? Now,
for me to say off of that is I think that's where these companies should do their own campaigning,
right? Now
to influence the people because it's not like because it's not like the companies can do the voting, because who's the one that does the voting? The people,
right?
That's why I think like that. But go ahead. What was the other point?
But so like while I say that, I also think the issue with it is like like big pharma is a perfect example. Where I don't like that you can't trust the motives of these policies because of that, right? So if it was simply, hey, you fund a politician or a party so they could get the most reach they can get, and then they're still going to go. The problem is the parties don't have backbone, if you ask me, right?
Yeah.
Like, the problem is there's not a lot of backbone there. So you can't trust that because Big Pharma gave you billions of dollars, you're not going to vote against marijuana. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, hey, we're Republicans or hey, we're Democrats. This is how we live. This is how we do policies. If you want to fund us, fund us. If not, don't. Where you could see, even if you got a bunch of funding from Big Pharma, you still vote in a way that you want to pass legislation, right? Like, you still, okay, we're getting a bunch of money here, but we can't deny these results, so we're going to have to go this route, and probably not, but money's involved. So they're never going to do that because they know they're not going to get that funding the next go around. You know what I mean? And shit like that. So that's the issue with it. Yeah. And
that's why I say I think that
because on the other hand, you can't even you can't trust the motives because the money's involved, right? So you can't trust that like Republicans are justifiably for the most part, right, putting down marijuana, right? Yeah. Like, because you're like, well, you're in bed with pharma, of course you don't want marijuana.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, you can't trust that Democrats are propping marijuana for the health reasons. Yeah. Like, you can't 100% trust that is the reasoning that Democrats are doing that, because what if you're the opposer of Republicans, wouldn't you want to promote the legislation that takes their biggest backbone away?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, so, and they're badasses. They're professionals. They're professional schemers and perception artists. Exactly. And much more likely they could give a fuck about passing marijuana and actually wanting to rip out the backbone of Big Pharma behind your biggest funder or whatever the case is. And then simultaneously, this is something people in our market like. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%.
It's just weird that way. That's where I definitely, it makes it slimy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I say that I think that the company should do campaigning to
their
influence
their own campaigning.
That's what I mean by like them doing their campaigning. So like, for example, I know it's not going to be a situation. I'm just saying in the general sense. Let's just say the government is speaking about banning carbonated drinks.
Right.
Whatever. Pepsi's going to come in and be like, whoa, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where these companies should do their own campaigning for their stuff and try to influence the people. It's like, hey, this is what's going on. Let's not go ahead and vote towards this person because of his ideologies and campaign toward them, versus donating to these people and saying, hey, we're not going to fucking do this.
Yeah, big business.
Because I feel like at that point, the people are left here.
Yeah.
And then you have the corporations that are right here, and they're right in bed with the politicians, versus the people are here. To bring the politicians here, you got to go up the ladder. You know what I mean? And that's why I see it like that.
And you know what's fucked up is that'll never happen.
No,
you know why? Because those big companies, they love that they can influence politics without being public about politics.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm Pepsi. I don't want to show outright that I'm supporting X legislation.
Absolutely, and they do it. They do it to this day, and they already. I
would much rather fund the people that are pushing that, and then we stay third party.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And it's kind of like, as a consumer, not even a consumer. And that's the weird part. It's like, as a political consumer, right? As a participant in democracy or whatever, it's kind of like, well, you know, because you don't want to be upfront about your intentions, you're making our political market all. Market is a bad word, but you're making our political structure and like. And motives and tendencies and stuff way more shady because of that.
Yeah, it's true. And I think there's a lot of things that we could do to correct it. But either way, I think we could wrap this one up.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening again. Comment, like, follow, share, subscribe, whatever platform you're on. We'll be back for another week, guys.
And if you have any topics or any...
shoot some topics.
If you guys want to have any topics you want to hear us talk about, let us know. Or if you have anybody you want to see us interview or speak with, let us know. We're trying to get more people on here. We have some things in the wrap, but we have just scheduling stuff we have going on right now. It's the holidays, so right now it's tough. We literally just had Thanksgiving a couple of days ago, but we're trying to get people lined up. So if you have anybody that you would like to see on here, let us know. If you yourself would like to be on here and you want to bring something to the table, let us know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Other than that, you want to add anything?
That's it, man. Have a good week. Paco, watch out.
Paco, watch out.